Going live. We are live. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. It is Monday night, 8:57 p.m., 2nd of December. Christmas is coming.
That it
How
is.
about
And
that?
yes, 2 weeks holiday.
Yes, for sure. Games of NBA being played. The Christmas Day game is always a good watch on Boxing Day for us, which is good. But yeah, another week. How long has it been since we were back talking NBA, talking Aussies in the NBA? I think about a week and a half. So yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
games to get through. Anything in the wider league we need to chat about before we just crank straight into some games?
It's just we can talk about the MVP race. I think it's quietly heating up between Doncic and Giannis. I think Giannis has just been really under the radar, man, but putting up some just crazy numbers. I think he 50 the other night, double central. Bucks going 16-3.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
very
and
quietly the Bucks have just had
without
another
Chris.
great start to the season. Sorry,
Sorry, without Chris Middleton, I was about to say
Ooh,
that's the big thing. Without an All Star in their team, he comes back. Gets into form.
clogs them up and they become 16-10. Something like that maybe. But yeah, I haven't been able to watch a lot of the Bucks this season. It kind of feels again like Giannis just doing Giannis things. Yeah, I know what he
Yeah,
does. He does some euros, dunks over some people, maybe shoots the odd three ball.
pretty much.
But I wonder how over time their team is going to match up from last year, because last year felt very out of the box for a team that's on the rise. They had 60 wins. Their style felt like, what? You just got this crazy dude who's like a maypole, and then he just tosses it out to guys who shoot threes. Like, wow, this is fantastic. Whereas this season, there's been a little bit less moving towards that. Like, you would think with the Golden
So
State Warriors, the way all these teams went to, what? You can get away with playing 6, 8 guys and they all defend and there's no big center. The league kind of shifted that way. It doesn't feel like it's shifting to just spread the floor with shooters and have one guy handle the ball.
no, it's not shifting like that. You still need two um, big serviceable players, I think. Or some really skilled players. Obviously, the Mavs talk about Luka Doncic just being stupidly unreal. I would have to say, going from rookie of the year to quite frankly, in the talk for MVP with Harden and Giannis. Harden just quietly putting up just absurd numbers on the free throw line.
Oh, count it. And a foul.
But yeah, he had 60 points inside like 2.5 quarters recently. I forget against who it was, but it was just ridiculous. I think he shot like 8 of 12 from three, and 30 from the line. But
But is it
there is
watchable?
no, not at all.
I
It's
can't do it.
terrible. I can't watch Houston. The only time I can watch Houston is when they get beat.
Yeah, man.
Then it's fun. It's just such a bad way to play basketball. It's not even Michael Jordan-esque kind of take over the team. It's just James Harden step back, step back, flop, flail,
Drive. Toss to
drive and
Capella.
drive and flail.
He is
You know,
surgical though. He is surgical when he gets to the rim. I do like it's fantastic how he can
it's
find Capella so many times where he just like a guy makes a slight like turns his head and it's like Capella and it's like damn it, like how did you even see that? So and then but the rest of it's just unwatchable garbage really to me.
yeah, it's terrible.
Sorry Houston fans out there that are watching.
Yeah, just trash-tastic. Philly putting together some good wins. The Suns falling off the face of the earth. The Spurs beating the Clippers, then just
Just
shitting themselves the rest of the
L's for
time. Just
days.
L's for days. Simmons quietly
Sizzling man. He is just
just defensively keeping Jimmy buckets to about 6 points. The game they lost against Toronto, he kept Siakam to 6 points, and then they switched Siakam onto Harris, and then he scored 20. It's just like he is a defensive powerhouse,
mm,
and he doesn't need to score points for the Philly team for that team to be successful. He just needs to facilitate all the scorers that you have on the team, because they've done what Giannis did. They've put this mutant point guard or point forward in there and spread the ball with handlers, shooters, and drivers, and that's what you need to do. And a few of the bench players playing well. Um, this Jazz team.
We'll get to the easy. He's off the
Yeah,
accelerator. We'll get to the things. But you're right. Actually, it's good to see. Like he runs a point like a traditional point. Yet he's 6'11" or 6'10", whatever he is. Like some crazy size. Whereas I don't think Giannis has really got the playmaking skills. Really, he's kind of got the drive-in Euro, toss it to someone. It's not nuanced creativity. It's great, but it's not just a barrage of different types of creativity and shooting the three ball. That was good to see as well.
yeah.
But we'll get to that. Anything else really around the league? The Lakers quietly just crushing it after our overreactions pod. Go back and watch that if you haven't seen that. We made some bold predictions.
Just quietly, Atlanta just following. I thought first 3 games like this team looks solid. Nope, trash-tastic.
Yeah, feels like that kind of a season where there's a bunch of teams that kind of look like they're shit, and then you can see where their path is for development, and you automatically kind of just assume that's where they're going. They're going to just develop into a 40-win team. Like I think Phoenix feels a little bit like that, where you're just like, here's the roadmap. They're going to be a 40-win team soon, but you're like, I got to see it, man. Like I want to see this team get to 40 wins and then go, yeah, they were a 40-win team type of thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's been a pretty standard opening. Denver's quietly playing well. The Clippers and the Lakers obviously playing well. Did you expect the Lakers to be this good? I think we went over it in our overreaction squad, basically, saying that they're in for a shot to win the title. Miami, we've got the East coming up soon as well. We'll talk about the East overreaction coming up. But let's just get straight into this Spurs malaise. Just currently sitting 7-14. I don't know did we see this happening?
No, I thought they'd be close to 500, maybe 450. Just quietly, I think that the Spurs blow up is about to happen. Looks like they're trying to get rid of Aldridge. They're trying to get rid of DeRozan. They're getting rid of Bryn Forbes. Like there's some things that have been happening in that team. Apparently, Bryn Forbes has deleted the Spurs off his Instagram.
Oh.
DeRozan has gone incognito on Instagram, which happened before the Toronto trade. And Aldridge has come out and said, "Yep, happy to go back to Portland." So
it's hot takes, hot gossip coming out of the Aussies taking over the NBA. Andy with the insider gossip.
Yeah, so I think this Spurs team's about to be blown up in a big way. I think that we could see a very different team. We may see a tank.
Here's a overreaction, a late overreaction in there. Greg Popovich fired.
Nah, I don't think he'd ever be fired. I think he'd just be quietly tapped on the shoulder and said, "This is your farewell year. Go forth and do what you need to do," and then move more into kind of a GM role. I think that's probably what he'll end up doing and not being coach. But just quietly, I think that this team just looks like it needs an injection of picks, young blood. There's a lot of old, crusty players in this team, and that the young blood that they have in their team isn't doing so well. He's made a career of getting these late first round, late second round picks to just be MVP style players. Yet we haven't had that probably since Kawhi. So there's not been that level of picks. Lonnie Walker, the Weeknd's cousin, with that hairdo, just quietly not doing too well. Bryn Forbes coming back, playing okay. DeJounte Murray, playing well.
He's kind of like struggling, really. It feels like he's still trying to get back into his rhythm, really, to me anyway. I don't think he's all the way back yet, and that's a real kind of worry. Like Paddy's been taking a lot of the load. If you look at this,
Paddy's been playing so well, man. Just continue that form. There was a basketball magazine in the States that had him ranked in the top 30 players in the league for what he does and brings to the team. Like we thought, Paddy this year, 20 minutes a game, come on, be that 3-point. They're just going to him now because that's all they have in terms of setting up offense and shooting it from deep. He's averaging pretty good points per game. Facilitating okay, but just really being that go-to ISO scorer in that second unit and still taking minutes away from them. But this team does not work with two mid-range scorers with no functional center because they really don't have a function. Jakob Poeltl and Trey Lyles might as well be just G League trash. Just complete and utter I think they're missing that Davis Bertans type player that could stretch the floor and yet defend.
Yeah.
And they just don't have that with Trey Lyles or Jakob Poeltl. So I feel this team's about to be blown up in a big way.
Just looking at their salaries, I guess Lamarcus is kind of like a unique scorer, and we saw it over the last 2 years, or maybe even 3 years, where you just kind of have to toss it to him and get out of his way, and maybe that's how Popovich wants to play. But at the same time, like, if you want to quickly expand how you're playing, like if you're a franchise that has this kind of player and you're like, we want to take this franchise over the next 3 years in this attacking direction, you kind of like can't take Lamarcus with you on that. Like, it felt like maybe they were trying to do it 2 years ago, and then it just came screwed straight back to just, all right, just toss it back to him in the post. I think that was the year Kawhi was off, injured.
Yeah,
and it just so quickly just went back to Lamarcus in the post. Oh, we lost by 15 because, we're just tossing up twos the entire night and we don't play quick enough to score enough points and win. But if you look at these L's, like they lost twice against the Wizards and the 76ers, 132 points against the Wizards. You're just like, whoa, like that's quietly like the Wizards are playing these games that are like 220 points on average. I don't know what the hell's going on there. It's crazy.
You watch the Wizards and it's just fast-paced scoring with zero defense.
It's crazy.
It'll be interesting to see when Philly or the Lakers come up against the Wizards to see if they can't clamp down on what they do, because I think the Wizards are scoring really efficiently. Rui Hachimura is quietly putting together a fairly good season for a rookie. I think he's going to be an amazing talent in the NBA. Defensively, he's got to kind of step it up a bit, but a mid-range scorer, just crazy mid-range scorer, and can shoot the three ball as well. But just haven't come up against defensive teams, or teams just kind of run with them. It's like, all right, we'll just have a score off and see how we play here. But yeah, Wizards putting up 140, 130, 128,
150 against Houston. That was insane.
Just an insane amount of point scoring with just zero defense. It's hilarious to watch.
So back to like the point I was trying to make, if you look at this, 76ers, they only had 104 points. The Knicks, they had 111. Sorry, the Lakers, they only had 104. Timberwolves only 101. 107 against the Clippers, and then 98 today against the Pistons. Like, they just don't score enough points, man. And they're third worst defensive rating. Points per game. They're 14th out of 30. So
it's not that they don't score enough points. It's just their defense is just trash.
And you're right. Their opposition points against is 25th out of 30. So they can't lock teams down and they can't score the ball, man. And I don't look at it and go, you know what they need to do? They need to do this, and this. Obviously, here's me talking about how Greg Popovich should run his offense, but I don't look at it and just go, you have to get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge and have a center that can actually defend the rim and play like LaMarcus is doing, because he's just kind of so slow and clogs it all up.
Yeah.
They're taking a lot of mid-range shots too, this Spurs team.
A lot of mid-range shots. It's not in this modern NBA, you've got to take a couple more threes, and they just don't do it. Their 3-point scoring options are Patty Mills and Bryn Forbes.
Yeah, and then
Derek White. That's it. Like, it's nothing.
If you look at Bryn Forbes, is taking 6.8 per game. Patty Mills 4.8 per game. Rudy Gay 3.2, and then Bellinelli has just been like a wipe, basically. Just why are you even there, Bellinelli? The aura that he had coming off of what did he go? Spurs, Philly, and then back to Spurs.
He went Atlanta,
Philly.
Atlanta, Philly, Spurs. The buyouts, and then signed a contract. And that season he had with Philly, that 28-game buyout stretch. He was like phenomenal, but he was phenomenal in a team that had a facilitative point guard.
And it was compact, and it was 28 games, and that sheen has worn off, man. The Bellinelli thing, where you're like, oh, Bellinelli falling away, hitting a crazy shot, like that kind of that shine is gone.
But I think it's the wrong team. It's the wrong team for him. Why would you sign into a team where you just don't shoot threes? This guy is all about coming around the curl and shooting the ball, and he either has to go to the Bucks or the Sixers, or maybe the Lakers. You know what I mean? Where they've got the big guys that could set There's no one on that team that wants to set a screen on the Spurs. LaMarcus Aldridge plays in the low post. DeRozan sits in the mid range, and you've got three guards that can't do anything. And Paddy can't set a screen. He's 6 foot, weighs a buck and five. He's in there to score the ball. So if you haven't got that, he's essentially functionally useless, and he's not a great defender either. So just a dumb signing, and I think Popovich is going a bit cuckoo in his old age.
Or possibly maybe he's at 28 games an NBL candidate. Sign him up, NBL, get him to the Hawks, playing with Bellinelli and LaMelo. What a two-man combination, handful of commentary that would be. LaMelo and Bellinelli. Oh.
All right, let's move away from the Spurs, trashing into the Suns. And Bainesy didn't play for a while. He had a hip flex issue.
Yeah.
Only one game this run, but it was against the Mavs, and they lost. They've had a few L's since Bainesy has not been playing. I think
quietly, I think, man, the glue that was holding that team together
is Baines. Yeah, it is, because it's defensively, he kind of just sits in the right spots for everyone to run people off the 3-point line. I don't think Frank Kaminsky is probably as good as that. He can shoot the ball, but yeah, it's going to be tough to do that. And it was a tight win against the T-Wolves as well. I think we're just starting to see our predictions for the beginning of the year with this Phoenix team quietly.
Yeah, I think, look, I like the direction they're heading. I just didn't think it was going to come as quick as a lot of people were high on. You know what I mean? Like, I think they might win 30-plus games, but it's not going to be something where you go, you know what? Like what Dallas is doing at the moment. Like, we'll move on to Dallas after this, but like what they're doing, you're like, oh, okay, we can actually see the nuts and bolts of what you're doing here, and you're moving in this direction, and you'll probably get 35, 40 wins at minimum this season. Whereas the Suns still feel like a team where you're just like, I don't think I trust this team. Like, a little bit defensively, a bit suspect defensively, as well as they get a bit like Booker and then Rubio, and that again, I hate coming back to Rubio, and it's like this doesn't work. Like, I don't like it, man. I think Rubio comes in and you're like, dude, what? Stop it.
He's been injured as well.
Yeah.
I think that he's kind of the glue and the fabric that holds the offense together in terms of facilitation, because you've got Kelly Oubre, Booker. These guys are shoot first. They're not really facilitators. And Baines is kind of like, yep, you can facilitate Baines with the offense, and Baines can hold that defensive glue together. But without those two on the floor, that bench is not very deep. And Tyler Johnson's on a ridiculous salary for just being nothing but a slack-jawed yokel.
Yeah, they could trade him. We'll put him in the trade machine and see what we can get for Tyler Johnson. I'm not sure he can be traded, actually, but yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think he can be traded again, as he already was.
But in that L, sorry, I should just quickly say, in the L today against Dallas, Bainesy did play 25 minutes, so he is back. 17 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 7 of 12 from the field. Not too bad, -2, but it's still just peak Bainesy coming back, being big balls, blasting buckets, Bainesy. Like, it's just
big balls, blasting bucket.
I'm so happy, man. Like, I don't even care how good or bad this Suns team might be. I'm just so happy that he's just being his best self, just playing ball hard, and that's just what he's doing. Like, it's just so good to watch. I love a good story like that where an Aussie just, you know what? I'm just gonna play ball, and that's what's gonna happen. And it's great to see. I'll move on to the Dallas Mavericks now, and then Garbage HOFF. 2 games of garbage time against the G League State Warriors. That was fucking hell. That was a shellacking. Jesus, that was hard to watch. I think Luka had as many points as the Warriors themselves in the first half. It was fucking spit roasting. Jesus.
I think he had more points, assists, and rebounds than the entire Warriors team had in the first quarter.
It was horrible, man. I just knew Brokoff was coming near the end of that game, so I was just like, I'll park this game, and then I'll just watch the end of it when Brokoff comes out. He looked good, man. I want to see him play. I just can't believe he can't get 6-7 minutes because knocked down a couple of threes. Just looks like a guy where, like, the perfect Vetty type guy. Just like, this is a guy who just comes out, sets up his guys, dimes up his guys, knows where to stand. Yet he's not used like that. It's like weird, man. If he can't make the rotation, it's painful. But Luka, we should talk about Luka. He's phenomenal. Just having an outstanding season.
pure scorer, just unbelievable scoring and facilitative game. Quite a little bit lacking on defensive end, but I don't think that matters when you can put up 45 points a night with 10 assists and have some good defensive pieces around you, like Porzingis, um, Maxi Kleber. You know, they've got a solid team. They're probably one defensive piece away, I think, from a postseason. If they were to trade for Iggy, you'd be like, they could make a run at this. They could really make a run at this.
Yeah, we were
Uh,
firing up the trade machine before we started, and man, that who was it again? I've forgotten who it was already. Courtney Lee for Iggy. Trade machine accepted. So man, get on that shit.
just get on it. Just do it.
Mark
Maybe
Cuban.
send Broke over the Grizzlies as well. We want to see him play some minutes. So just like
I don't want to watch the Grizzlies, man. I'd rather
just
watch Brokoff get no minutes and watch Dallas than watch the Grizzlies, dude.
yeah, it's terrible.
But he did play 12 minutes against the G League State Warriors, 3 of 5, 3 of 3 from 3. He was just knocking it down. They just couldn't miss in that game. It was just crazy watching that. They've had a few games the last couple of seasons against the Warriors where they just can't miss, and you're just like, holy shit, where is this coming from? Which makes me think, wow, they're going to, really take if they can pull off these kinds of nights towards playoffs time, they're going to be kind of a tough team to beat. But again, another team where you're like, you have to see it. We're seeing it come together in the regular season, but when it comes playoffs time, I'm still like, look, I have to see you win games in the playoffs, and let's see how you go.
That, and I think as well they've got to come up against that mutant team, and they've yet to come up against the mutant team. I think the Lakers are that, probably just playing the Lakers on an off night. Quietly beating the Rockets was kind of sweet as well. That was a nice game to watch. Beating the Lakers, I think, is a really good sign. But I think what would match up well against the Mavs is the mutant teams like Philly, like the Raptors, like the Bucks. Just these weird mutant teams of freak players, long teams, or just crafty teams. Like watching the Raptors, man, they're so crafty. Such a crafty team. And Siakam, I reckon, could win most improved player again. Just the way he's been playing.
Was
Like,
he most improved last season?
yes.
And then he could just win it again. He's won it again back to back. Most improved player.
Just to say that, it's just like how far away from the MVP is he? He's not being talked about, but man, he's putting together a pretty solid season in anyone's books. Yeah, I'd like to see the Mavs come up against one of these teams, and that'll be a fun game to watch.
I'm just quickly looking up the leaders in scoring because I know Luca's up there at the moment.
I think he's second. Harden's just way out in front.
What have we got? I can't. Steals, Ben Simmons, 42, leading. Here we go. CJ minutes played, leading. What do we want? Field goals? No, we want scoring. Why don't you just put it at the top? Yeah, Harden. 739, then Giannis 618, then Doncic.
Yeah, you're not going to beat
Harden scores a lot of free throws, man. And I suppose you're not really like going to beat Giannis. I think Giannis has a better narrative too, really, as well. Like back-to-back MVP, just how good he is. I don't think Doncic is there yet in terms of like narrative and wider acceptance of the league that Doncic can win an MVP. But if you look at this Dallas fixtures to go in the next couple of weeks, they got New Orleans again, Minnesota, New Orleans again. So New Orleans, Minnesota, New Orleans, Sacramento, Detroit before they play Miami. So that you would think there's another 4 W's there before there's 5 W's there. There's a tough game against Miami, and then the Bucks, and they've got an absolute murderer's row coming up: Miami, the Bucks, Boston, Philly, Toronto, and then back to like Spurs, Warriors, Lakers, OKC for a nice kind of Western trip. So it'll be very interesting, man. By the end of December, we'll really know where they're at.
I agree. I concur on that.
And I had here in my notes garbage time Hoff, and then Houdini Hoff back to being disappearing act for Brokoff. Man, it sucks. I'm so bummed.
We'll hopefully see him in an Aussie jersey come World Cup.
And now we'll move to the sizzling Ben Simmons, man. He is just murdering it.
Just
phenomenal, man.
Crazy crazy plays.
We should,
Single-handedly winning 2 games.
yeah,
Um,
defensively, yep, against the
just on
Pacers.
on defense, which is just on. Like, who wins games on defense? Like against the Pacers, he had 3 steals in the last three offensive plays against the Pacers. Um,
Dre wins. Guys like Dre winning MVP win games defensively. You know what I mean? And to
yeah,
see him doing this, we said it at the start of last year. This year with Jimmy Butler is going to be super important in his development because basically it's going to make him a better defender, learning from Jimmy Butler. Like if you could get Ben Simmons to kind of go the way of Jimmy Butler in terms of how good his defense is, man, that's going to be a phenomenal player. And we're seeing it this season, man. He's leading steals, just like winning games. A phenomenal little run here of
hold on.
sorry, yeah.
The most important thing is he shot his first 3.
Yeah. Sorry, we forgot to say that. Man, he shot a 3. It was like nothing but cotton too. It was so nice. Philly went absolutely
and then
nuts.
just tuck that back in the pocket just to keep everyone happy, and then just kept on doing what he does.
Basically stored it in his rucksack and then just walked off into the bushes, never to be seen again.
But just quietly, these last games, averaging 8.5 and 10.5 with about 4 steals a game.
Yeah, man. Fuck, just...
I spend a lot of time on the Philly fan forums and things like that. Like, oh, he needs to put up 25 points a night. How do you put up 25 points a night with Harris, Richardson, Embiid, and Horford? You don't need to score the ball. Like, you don't get wins with Simmons scoring 20 plus a night. You get wins with Simmons getting 5 steals, blocks, facilitating, getting guys open, drawing fouls. Like, that's how you do. If he heads to the line and shoots 2 more free throws a night and makes them, that's what you want out of it. You don't want him to shoot the ball 10 times. I think where Philly's really lacking is down the end of games. They just don't have that go-to end of game scorer. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't think it's Embiid. I don't think Embiid's like, oh, give me the ball. I just don't think he's a smart player, but it's just he's too cumbersome. He doesn't have the handling skills. Like Jimmy Butler was at last year, could handle the ball, was smart, could play on the ISO, could stretch the floor. Embiid can't do that. He's not a great ISO, gets really picked in the double teams. That's when Simmons needs to fit that void and say, right, out of the way, I'm going to do this.
Does he have that in his locker, really, though?
I don't care if he does. I don't care if they get 5 losses in a row if he's done that. But that's what this team needs to take it to the end. That's exactly because Harris isn't that player.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this, and Harris, he's basically the only other guy, really.
Richardson, you could argue, is probably the best pure scorer to take that to the end, and has good handles. Horford's not that. Horford's a smart player, but he's not. You're not going to take it to Horford from the last 3 plays of the game to shoot the ball.
But Horford, you'll use off ball as well. That's the other thing too that kind of goes unnoticed. A lot of the on ball things like stats based, narrative stuff where he took the last shot, so therefore he's the hero. Like I remember there was a game where Horford just set this bone crunching screen for someone to get open. Korkmaz to shoot that, and that's the thing where you need guys that know how to go, all right, my job is to basically get here, pin 2 guys down, and basically get someone open for this shot. And they don't get any accolades. It's Korkmaz that, gets carried off the court. But really, it's having a smart guy like Horford. It's transforming this team. And how's Matisse Thybulle doing this season so far?
Crazy good. Just probably, offensive up and down, but he's defensive. He's probably a little bit too eager on the defense, gets picked up on some silly fouls, gets into foul trouble early, doesn't play a lot of minutes, but something like they're now 12-1 when he plays over 15 minutes. So that gives you a indication of what he can add defensively to the depth of this team. James Ennis has been playing well. Mike Scott's fallen off a cliff a bit. But 3 players, Jonah Bolden, Zaire Smith, Shake Milton, all had big contributions last year. G League, it's hard to break into this team. This team is a very tough team. Norville Pele debuted the other night and got 4 blocks. There was a series where he got 3 blocks in 3 possessions. So you're like, wow, you've got another rim protector. Kylo Quinn's not getting minutes. It's just, he's a little bit injured as well, but it's crazy that if they get this offense right, what they could do. But I think the offense is there. Defensively, they're fantastic. Look at that. 104, 104, 86, 101 in a loss, 91, 95, 116, a bit more scoring against the Pacers. Pacers shot really well, though, ridiculously well.
And that crazy and that fourth quarter sequence in that game, I was watching the last quarter of that, or probably the last 6-7 minutes, and the Pacers just couldn't stop scoring, and that's where these games probably should be maybe a 106, 109, 106, but they become with the three ball now, these teams just randomly shooting these crazy three balls at the end of games. That's where these games become 119, 116, or 129, 126 type of thing. But they're phenomenal defensively. If you look at, I had to double check Simmons' assist numbers over the last few games. 13 against the Knicks, 13 against the Spurs, 7 against the Heat, 14 against the Raptors, 5 against the Kings, 8 against the Knicks, 13 against the Pacers. I had to double check that I didn't have the rebounds or something wrong there. You know what I mean? So what the fuck, man? That's crazy amount of dimes. I'm just gonna quickly check what the hang on a sec. You just keep talking while I just check the season stats of where he's on assists.
Oh, he's above career average this year on assists, down on points, down on rebounds, just up on steals, down on blocks. So, but yeah, that crazy block on Brogdon. Brogdon was 10 steps ahead of him, and he chased him down and blocked him well before the rim. It was ridiculous. He's probably the fastest 6'10" on court.
Yeah, man.
He just plays like a 6'4" guy, but it's just nuts. I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet.
I think it's I don't know what's the easiest way to say this. There's a how he fits the team ceiling. I don't think he's reached that yet. I think this team can get better at understanding him. I think he needs to kind of move the way he fits in on offense just slightly to be more scoring based. That's fine. That can come at any time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Defensively fits perfectly, but I still don't think people don't see the the little things. They just want narrative. He doesn't shoot it. They he dunked all over everyone. How good's that? They don't see the X's and O's things that really make a team tick. You know what I mean? They see narratives and stuff like that, and then you've obviously got the shooting one with him, which gets under people's skins a lot.
It gets under people's skin, but it's hilarious. In the game against the Heat, and the Heat have been playing really well, he just holds Jimmy Butler to 8 points or 7 points, I think. Every time, it was hilarious to watch because they were just defending each other. And Simmons doesn't need to score, so he didn't want to score, but Jimmy Butler wants to score, and he couldn't score, so he was getting very frustrated. Where Simmons doesn't need to score. He's just I'll just facilitate. I don't really need to score, but I'm going to lock him down defensively. And it was pretty good to watch that game. But yeah, man, phenomenal stretch for the Sixers. 6 out of 7 wins. Getting back up there. I think they're 1 win behind the Celts and the Raptors as well. So getting up there, they've got a bit of a hard stretch coming up. Jazz tomorrow, and then a couple more games. But let's move on to the Jazz because this Joe Ingles setup doesn't sit with me, man. They're terrible to watch in that second unit. It's first unit. Okay, Bogdanovic great. Conley's playing better. Mitchell's a pure scorer. But then the second unit comes out, and then Ingles just gets blasted because defensively he's just not NBA quality anymore. He was never NBA quality, but this year it's just that's bad.
Man. When he's playing with that first unit, when he's able to fit in facilitating the ball as an off-ball facilitator, he doesn't get rinsed defensively. But when he's not in that first unit, and when kind of Gobert's off the floor, if you look at this second unit, Moutier, Exum, Ingles, Green, Davis, you're just oosh, man, that's a big sort of step down. I think Ed Davis is injured too, so it's just. I don't want to be the one to be bro, I don't like it at all, but I don't like it at all, man. It's so hard to watch. And especially a guy like him, such a good dude, such a, unique, underrated player in the NBA, to watch him struggling a little bit. It's it hurts my basketball soul, man.
It does hurt my basketball soul. It's good to see Exum coming back, playing some minutes. I think, 10 minutes max is a great thing to see. It's just get his body right and make sure that it's all good. But he's scoring. He's shooting the three ball, which is really good to see. A couple of dimes here and there. Um, but yeah, they've had a up and down. The Jazz, what are they? 12-8 now. Still in the top six in the West, and probably will sit between that eight and six spot for the rest of the season. I think a couple of good wins. Timberwolves, probably their best win. Actually, yeah, probably the best win was the Timberwolves. Um, Lost to the Bucks, which was understandable. Lost to the Pacers and lost to the Raptors. So just Eagles not shooting enough volume on the three ball, not slinking away to that corner and just shooting the three ball. And that's what you got to do. You got to fight fire with fire. If you're in that second unit, you're in there to score. You're not in there to facilitate. As an off ball, I think.
And even shooting the three, man, like 28% this season. It's not good.
Yeah.
He's not shooting it well. I don't know what it is either. It's not even a case where you can go, you know what, that's what he needs to do. He needs to do this and this. His three balls just died. I don't know what's happened, where it's gone.
Maybe the body's just a little bit older. Still, man, had a massive off season playing for Australia. Big minutes, back-to-back games, heavy minutes. Maybe just didn't get that rest his old man body needs, man.
But he's never really been a guy that's his shtick. He needs conditioning. He's kind of been he's been the diesel kind of guy that just keeps chugging along. But maybe the level of the league's just risen just that little bit over his threshold.
You look at some of these numbers compared to last season. Like last season in that first team, you're just like, 8-10 dimes a night. 2, 3, 3, 2, none. In 25 minutes, 6 points, 1 rebound, no assist for -13 in a win. It's just like, this is bad against the Grizzlies. Is just that second unit Jazz team is just woeful though. Absolutely just terrible. They're really only winning because Bogdanovic is having a really good year and Mitchell is continuing to be a more intelligent player.
I think the long game with Conley too is going to pay off.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But it's still a bit. I wonder if that's kind of affecting it too. Is like he's taken the step aside and just be like, hey, integrate Conley. I don't need to get out there and take control of this team. He's a kind of, he's that kind of veteran who's gonna like try and get his team more involved. Yeah, man, I don't know. But yeah, Dante Exum coming back, playing 5 minutes here and there. I think he had a DMP the other day as well. Just as a kind of rest type of thing. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm worried about it. Ingles, man.
I'm worried about this Jazz team in the sense that, one goes down. It really, the only player that can go down in their starting five is Bogdanovic, because that's really the only one they have backup for. The rest is just like, you take Mitchell away, it's 30 points a night. You take Conley away, it's potentially 20 points a night. You take...
well, beyond Rudy, there's no other real center that's going to...
Tony Bradley's just...
I'm just looking at their roster. Hang on a tick. Where are we at? Joe Ingles. Come back. Ed Davis is the only other center. I think he must be back because he's not listed as injured. But that's kind of the cupboard's bare there, man. They had Favors, but he's gone. And then, it's always been quite bare there. So if Rudy goes down, that's... Oof.
Yeah, it's a bit tough.
Anyway, we'll move on to another even bleaker subject, Thon Maker at Detroit.
Dwayne Case is just kind of just slowly just going, okay, Thon, just yep. And now he's just playing deep garbage time, man. It's bad to watch. I think he played a couple of minutes when Christian Wood was injured in the win to the Hawks and the loss to the Bucks. But just quietly, this Detroit team is just not working. It's not working. Like they had a good win today against Spurs, but just like they've got some talented players in there. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't work. Blake Griffin's looking a little bit slow, like even slower than slow. Andre Drummond's getting found out for what he is, just complete garbage. And Derrick Rose is, doing Derrick Rose things, and that's cool. But there's just, they need to add probably a sensible trade to be somehow get DeMar DeRozan on that team to add a mid-range scoring option for when you're playing Bruce Brown at point guard, and Derrick Rose is injured for the 10th time in the season. Like, they need someone to add another 20 points a night, and I think that's when they'll start getting the W's and start getting into that 400 zone. Because I think really the 8th seed in the West and the 8th seed in the East, 400 will get you to, I think there's just such a disparity between the teams. 400 will get you a playoff berth.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their run over the next few weeks. If it'll let me come back. So they've got if you look at their schedule over the last few weeks, they haven't had a stretch of games where they just play crap teams. Not that they're high enough on the league, high enough in the league basically to have shit games to play against, like winnable games. But if you look at this last week, Atlanta they win, the Bucks they lose, then Orlando they win. That's probably one they're not likely to win. Then Charlotte, you probably want to be beating Charlotte. They lose twice to Charlotte, and then they beat the Spurs. Now they're going to play Cleveland. They'll probably win that. The Bucks, they'll probably lose that, and then Indiana, they'll probably lose that. Although they're 2-1 against the Pacers, and then it's like New Orleans, Dallas, Houston is going to be a blood. They've already lost to them. Like, it's like their roster is just like win loss, win loss, win loss, win loss, 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 win loss, win loss. Like, it's not this. There's nowhere here where I can go right. That's 6 games penciled in. You have to go at least 5 or 6 here to get your season back on track. It just looks like they're gonna play a good team, a shit team, a good team, a shit team, a good team, a shit team. Man, bit of a deadly roster schedule, really.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to really to see if these guys are going to make. I thought I had them penned as a playoff team with Blake Griffin back healthy, D Rose healthy, but just watching them, it doesn't look great. I mean, they put it together against the Spurs, but the Spurs are trash. So
yeah,
that's my take on the Spurs at the moment.
And then they'll probably put it together against Cleveland, and then if we go towards the end of December, they play Philly, Washington, Spurs, Utah, LA, the Warriors, Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Cleveland, Chicago. And that's 3 games there at the end. They might have BWs, and then the Warriors might be a W. They're just, again, their roster, their freaking schedule is just like the shit teams littered with the really good teams in both conferences. It's like, I feel bad for it, man.
Yeah.
Even though, maybe they're not being coached that great. Maybe they should blow it up. Blake Griffin, you're just one injury away from you, struggling here. Kennard just quietly has been playing not too bad as well.
You're just one injury away from Timofey Mozgov just getting written off in the league as an injury, as an insurance job.
I remember that when he left the Lakers, when Magic came in and that meme, Mozgov, Mozgone. Which is a good segue. He did win a ring with the Cavs, so a good segue into the Cavs to wrap it up tonight. And I refuse to do stats on a team that is 1-9, so I didn't do any stats. I just put their L's.
Let me just tell you about Delhi stats. 20 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 3, 4 assists, minus 10. 17 minutes, 1 of 4.
Are you reading this off a sheet, or are you just?
No, I'm just pulling it out of thin air.
Yeah, man, for sure. That's exactly. If I was more switched on, I could have facilitated that joke and dimed you off in the corner. But yeah, fully, it's 12 minutes, 2 points, 2 of 9 from the field. 1 of those from 6 is 3.
He's not going to be in the league next year. I don't think he will be. I think that we could see him make a move to China, maybe playing in the CBA, getting paid. Why not? Do it. You're going to get paid $1 million, $2 million a year. It's going to be more than Europe and the NBL.
Come to the NBL.
Not Sydney, though.
Yeah, we don't need him.
Go to Adelaide.
No, Randall. He could go. And who could he go to in the NBL? Really, the Bullets, maybe.
No, the Hawks. He could run the Hawks next year.
Yeah, without LaMelo there.
Yeah.
Where's he from? Actually, Melbourne guy, Melbourne boy.
I think he's Melbourne.
Maryborough. I think that's Melbourne. Maybe it's Southeast Melbourne. Wild Kyle and Delhi just raining down threes and getting skunked at the rim by everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. This Cavs team, I thought, you know what, they could put it together, a couple of young talent, and no.
And it's gone.
It's bad to watch, man. It's not super bad to watch. It's a lot of ISO scoring. There's not a lot of facilitation. Kevin Love's not been playing particularly well. They got a fluky win against the Blazers because the Blazers was just trash. And then they signed Melo, and man, we got to talk about Melo at the end of here because I think that's an important thing. Dude's just come back and is playing absolutely lights out. Good on him. He's fun to watch, just as a pure scorer. Getting back. It's good to have a bit of a redemption story. I do like a redemption story in sport, but we can wrap this Cavs thing up by saying this is really the guaranteed W for every team playing in the NBA this year. Chetty Osman has just fallen off a cliff. Darius Garland is probably 3 years away from being any kind of player. Colin Sexton, same thing, 2 or 3 years away from being any kind of player. Tristan Thompson's okay, but is probably no better than a Kyle O'Quinn on another team. You know what I mean? Like, he's playing well because he's the main guy. Just back up. You can't blow this team up any further, but I would really, with taking this many losses and the amount of losses they're going to take this year, trade Kevin Love and just get a stream of picks. Don't just take a crappy expiring contract from somewhere and just get a bunch of picks.
Just do like a Sam Presti and just accumulate picks. I think it goes beyond, us watching an Aussie play on that roster to now giving them advice on what they should do with their franchise, because I look at that and I just go, they're still maybe, I think I said last year, they're like, here's year 2 of maybe a 6-year rebuild, and this is what it looks like. I think you've just got to go, Porto. You've just got to go like, this is not great. Who's their coach now? John Beelan. I don't even know who that is. But yeah, like it's a franchise kind of going nowhere. Like we were saying that last year, the end of last year, where you're just like, it's not going anywhere. Maybe they'll tank for some picks over the next couple of years and kind of rebuild. But if you look at their Garland and Sexton, it's kind of like, why'd you draft kind of the same player, basically?
Pretty much. They drafted exactly the same player. Maybe it's when they picked up Sexton's 3rd year, maybe they've got another year to see who they're going to kind of take before moving on, because they really need to draft. They went on Chetty Osman, and Chetty Osman, we thought Chetty last year, he's looking good, just fallen completely off a cliff. His game's just not that great at the moment. So there's a small forward that
He's
you probably
second year guy, good guy, bad team type of thing, maybe.
No, I think mediocre player on a bad team looking better than he actually is at this point in time. I think. I think they really need to draft a power forward that is actually decent. Jordan Clarkson quietly is a good player, but he's like a 6th man on any team and is not really that starting guy. But yeah, I can see a lot of 10-day contracts coming up. I can see some waiving. But I would really just trade Kevin Love, blow the team up completely, wait till Tristan, draft a center, scour the G League, do whatever you have to do to put a young team on, exactly like what Atlanta's doing. Like they just put a young team on the floor that's absolute trash, but they will get a couple of roses between the thorns out of it. Trae Young's obviously a fantastic scorer, facilitator, can't defend to save his life, but what can you do when you're 6 foot?
Kevin Love's on 28 mil.
Yeah, DeAndre.
Yeah, it's a big contract, eh? What are your destinations for Kevin Love? Do you reckon?
You'd either have to think the Trailblazers trade for him, and play him at 5, potentially for Whiteside. You know what I mean? Like get that Whiteside contract just out of here. Whiteside's a trash player anyway. Never rated him. And then you just have a complete scoring team. The whole team could stretch the floor, and then although defensively that team would just be horrible, but could be a fun team to watch. That's kind of it. Love anywhere else? Not really. Anyone who's looking to play in the playoffs, I don't see any teams wanting to better except Portland, because Portland really should be above 500, but they've just crapped the bed a bit without that strong center. I think once Nurkic comes back, and if he can get back to any kind of form that he was playing in previously, the team plays a lot better. But I think Whiteside's just a bit of a dud contract and get rid of it. And if it's expiring, trade for Kevin Love, take that Kevin Love deal and move on.
I like it. Try this trade. This trade is successful on the trade machine. Nice.
mate. Three
Dropping,
from three tonight.
yeah, dropping some dimes here. Now, quickly, you want to just talk about Melo, not LaMelo, but Carmelo?
Yeah, man. Have you been able to watch any of his
Nah,
plays?
I haven't seen anything. I watched a lot of his workout videos. Man, all NBA workout videos. Man, he looked good in those workout videos.
Look good, man. He hit. I think it was 8 of 10 the other night in terms of field goal, highest career field goal percentage. That's massive for a guy like Carmelo Anthony hitting that. Yeah, I think he's got a point to prove, and I hope he does prove it and turns this team around. And because he's getting paid 50 grand this year,
Really?
50 grand. Yes, non-guaranteed deal,
Damn.
minimum wage on a non-guaranteed deal.
Any team would take that, eh?
Why didn't Philly take that? As if you wouldn't want him coming off the bench as a pure scorer. You have the defensive realms. You can hide him. You can hide him in Philly. You can hide him. Um, you can hide him at the Bucks. You know all these kind of. I suppose they got Kyle Korver, but Korver's just a bit of a liability. But you could hide him in these high IQ defensive teams, and But I think what he really wanted was that starting role, and that's what the Blazers are willing to give him and can give him, and so he's kind of the perfect fit there.
Why not, man? I never really had any beef with Carmelo. I think the narratives always were that a selfish scorer, but some teams need that. Not every team wants all unselfish players. Like some teams need to be bad and have a guy who will just take a lot of their shots, and that was fine when he was on the Knicks. Where'd he go after that?
Okay, so
He's
yeah, that just
OKC, or was it? Yeah, OKC. It was terrible. They
OKC, and
lost
then
those
it's Trent.
finals, and then Houston, and then always thought that was a bit weird that like 5 games in, Houston were just like and gone. See you later. Like it didn't feel like you know like that was, yeah, right move. Oh, this is not working out. Like five, it was like 7 games or something, 8 games or something like that. It was like this seems like a weird kind of move. And then to spend that long on the sideline, kind of almost like a Kaepernick style situation where, oh, toxic man, nobody wants this guy on his team. I always thought that was weird as well. So I've never been like, well, shit, man, why is he shouldn't be in this league. So it's good to see that he found a home in Portland. And I think Portland with all those injuries, kind of like they needed something like that.
Yeah, they needed a savvy vet who could score, and his defense a little bit better,
Yeah.
better. So I think the hunger's back. I don't think the hunger was there in Houston. I don't think the hunger was really there in OKC. I think that it was too much Westbrook, and I think Westbrook's the toxic part of any kind of relationship, really, because he's a stat patter. And you just had a lot of selfish guys on those teams for many reasons.
And then you got
But
James Harden who plays in a hazmat suit, so it's like the perfect environment for a guy like Westbrook.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
All right, well, we might wrap it up there. We got through all of those games. Well, we didn't say that much about the games. We're more just talking about the teams, but a lot of stuff happened over the last couple of weeks. Don't forget we have East Conference East Conference overreactions coming probably this weekend. We'll do that. And then what else? More games coming up to Christmas, the Christmas break. And then after Christmas, we've got All-Star break, and then that's the business end of the season.
It's indeed. So we'll have mid-season reviews coming up after Christmas and continuation of games, and then on the down street to the playoffs.
Yes.
All right, Ben.
And yeah, the Warriors, man. Just fuck. Oh, it's brutal, man. It's great watching these Aussies, but yeah, it just hurts watching this Golden State G League.
G League Warriors. Oh, we'll be coming with our exclusive G League update podcast.
Yeah.
We've got four Aussies playing in the G League at the moment. Dengadell having some big games. Isaac
That
Humphries.
dunk he had today, man. He even gave it like the Dave Chappelle Prince hang time one-handed. That was awesome.
Isaac Humphries playing really well, and Mater and William McDowell White playing in the Houston Rockets.
Remember when he was wheeling McDowell waved?
Yeah.
McDeasy. Yeah. So yeah, we'll bring that G League update that we've been threatening to bring for like about 2 months now, but we'll get on it soon. Throwing some shade at Andy there. Yeah, that's about it. Hopefully
Wrap.
the listeners couldn't see that.
That's why we put it on audio only. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Mate, like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. All the
You
way,
know,
if you're watching, all the way on
like,
this side,
like us on,
iTunes, podcast addict. Sorry.
that's right. Like us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook.
Yeah.
We promise to be more active. We do have a Twitter account, and I'll tweet from time to time. But yeah, you can download our podcast anywhere. We're really enjoying doing this, so going to keep doing it into the future.
All right.
Peace out.
All right. Take it easy, peeps. See you on the weekend.
Bye.